So, over the past couple of weeks, ever since Jeff Snyder dropped a really big exclusive in his newsletter about T'Challa, the fandom has kind of been, I don't know, I don't want to say an uproar, but things have been a little crazy. And the reaction to this news was very positive. And I even watched Jeff break this down with Roca on one of those shows that they do together, the Hot Mic Podcast. And even Snyder said when he was reporting this news, he expected some backlash. He expected some people to be weird about it. And instead of that, the response was very positive. I myself shared his news and was like, fuck yeah, like, let's go. Because I'm excited. I want T'Challa back, right? And overall, like, just a lot of excitement from the fans about this. I think it's time. I think people are ready, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the problem, though. And this is really what we got to talk about. I don't think that report was accurate. As soon as Jeff said that, My Time to Shine Hello came out and said, oh, actually, it's not a recasted T'Challa. It's a aged up variant of Prince T'Challa, the child from the end of Wakanda Forever. And look, Jeff is very reliable. Jeff's very good. My Time to Shine is very reliable, very good. As we're going to discuss later in the show, nobody's perfect. This includes the best people out there, the best scoopers, the best sources. Nobody's perfect. Nobody gets everything correct. But these conflicting reports were interesting. And I remember my initial take was, the only problem here is that Jeff is not a nerd. And he's not just not a nerd, he's like allergic to the nerdy shit. Meaning, you start talking to him about variant multiverse and stuff like that, he checks out. He says this, not me. He said that. So he doesn't fully understand the concepts that are currently governing what is possible within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And he doesn't understand how nerdy those people are, like Feige and those executives and those people. They do really nerdy shit. That's the history of Marvel. So when this happened and we had Shine talking about this, I was immediately like, oh, I gotta say, I'm leaning towards Shine being correct. Partially just because, yeah, Jeff doesn't understand the nerdy shit, but also, if you look at Marvel, they literally bring this kid in the second movie. So are we just going to like ignore that forever? It doesn't seem like that doesn't seem like Marvel. Marvel usually does not abandon shit that they build up completely unless it's like Kang and shit, right? So it would just be weird for Marvel to do Wakanda Forever, have the child at the end, and then several years later flip it, recast Chadwick Boseman as his father, bring him back, and then still have the child. That would be weird. Now, I would like that. I prefer that. I wish that were what is going on. But that's not what's going on. At least not according to Shine, and I think Shine's correct on this. So check this out. I wanted to bring this to your attention. Charles Murphy was doing a Q&A via Twitter. And I'll show you two things that he said. This one here, he says, all the current talk revolves around them again up T'Challa 2. Now, that's a pretty unfortunate typo on a subject matter that I think people are incredibly interested in. And it's like, bro, what the fuck? But he's saying aging up. You know, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that what he meant was all the current talk revolves around them aging up T'Challa the second. Okay? And if we look at his profile here, I'm pretty sure he commented on this again. Let me see. Yeah, right here. Everyone is saying it's his son. So when he says everyone, I think he's talking about like the scooping cabal, which is like a bunch of people that are, you know, somewhat on the inside. And then potentially his sources as well, right? Potentially the people that give him information as well. Everyone is saying it's his son. Now, Charles Murphy has kind of stepped back a little bit from the whole scooping game and whatever. And the Cosmic Circus is actually a like they have a connection to Charles Murphy. I don't want to get too far into it, but like the people that started Cosmic Circus used to work with Charles Murphy, and they're now kind of doing their own thing. That could be Alex as well. I'm actually not 100% sure on that, but I know that there's a history there, let's say. So it's probably going to be the T'Challa is basically what I'm saying here. And I think it's a little bit unfortunate. Like, look, I'm trying to be super fair here because I really like Jeff Snyder. I like Jeff Snyder way more than a lot of you guys like Jeff Snyder. I subscribe to his newsletter. I thought his thirst traps and trying to get a lady on Twitter was totally fine. Who gives a shit? And, you know, there have been other stories in the past where Jeff talks about, like, you know, Brie Larson being a problem on the set for Captain Marvel 2, and everybody acts like his whole reputation doesn't matter because it's news that they don't want to hear. I feel like he's been unfairly treated by a lot of people. But here's the thing. He did report something that might not be what is happening, and he might have set a lot of people up to be very fucking disappointed. Because it's one thing, ladies and gentlemen, like let's be real. It's one thing to desire T'Challa to be recast. It's another thing to even like talk about rumors, etc., etc. I know that Jeff reported this as a rumor, and he has tried to delineate between a rumor and an exclusive. And I think a lot of the effort on his part after he reported it was potentially to kind of walk it back and protect himself a little bit. But I still ultimately think you live and die by the sword, and you did put this out. So it's a tricky situation. As always, I'm just trying to be clear here. I want to give you guys the best information. I want to let you know exactly what I think is going on. It's all rumors and speculation until we see what Marvel actually does. But it does look like it's going to be T'Challa. Now, a couple other things in this report, too. Charles also mentions that this new T'Challa, which is likely an aged-up T'Challa II, will be in Doomsday and Secret Wars. But what he said was like, in fact, we can just find what he said. I believe he said something like, that's what we're hearing, but like nobody really knows what is going on. Yeah, right here. Are we expecting T'Challa for both Doomsday and Secret Wars? He says, that's the rumor right now. I haven't been able to get any info on either project yet. So that's what people are saying. Oh, you guys can't see this. So this is what people are saying. But the actual information on Doomsday and Secret Wars is kind of secretive, you know, for lack of a better word. So interesting. Now, what does this like mean? Like how could this actually happen, right? Well, there are two main ways that this could happen. I mean, number one, it could just be a multiversal variant of T'Challa II that has come in from the universe. And so in that situation, you'd technically have two T'Challas. You'd have the young T'Challa II, and then you'd have a variant of T'Challa II. And maybe that's what they do, okay? I can see that working. I still think it's kind of weird. I still think they're kind of trying to have their cake and eat it too. But sure, sure, I can see it working. The other possibility is a little bit more interesting to me, and it has to do with a rumor about the Fantastic Four. So right now, Franklin Richards is heavily rumored to be a big part of the Fantastic Four movie, and also somewhat connected to Doctor Doom and what they are doing in Doomsday. So one of the things that Daniel Richtman has reported is that Franklin will be like 4 years old in the Fantastic Four movie, but then he'll be like 13 years old in Doomsday. So that's kind of weird, right? Like, how would that work exactly? Perhaps if the Fantastic Four leave their universe at the end of that movie and go through some black holes and end up on 616, maybe they actually are having a large amount of time pass. Maybe that's what ages Franklin up. Not really sure. But I thought about that and I was like, that's kind of wild. I wonder if they could do the same for T'Challa. So this would be a scenario in which they take the actual Prince T'Challa II the one that was established in Wakanda Forever, and through some timey-wimey multiversal travel shenanigans, they age him up so that he's basically like a young adult / adult male T'Challa during Secret Wars. So those are my two kind of theories on how this could happen. And again, this is stuff that probably you start saying it to Jeff Snyder and he's like, or whatever, right? I get that, and maybe it won't work for casual audiences either. But this is stuff that Marvel is doing. And it is getting wild. And they are using the multiverse, and they are doing weird stuff like that. So that's what it ends up being. Now, I know for a lot of people, this is just not good enough, and a lot of people are going to be super angry about this. For me, I don't know. I'm kind of loosening up a little bit on this. Number one, because just like the Doctor Strange thing, at some point we have to realize this shit is not in our control. And what makes sense to us is not necessarily what makes sense to the studio, and the studio is going to do what the studio does. Does it really help us if we go into these films and we go into this, fandom and having fun experiencing this stuff? Does it really help us to go into that with the mindset that it's our way or the highway? I don't know. I think you can criticize the T'Challa thing from Wakanda Forever. I think you can criticize the T'Child. But at some level, I have to just either vibe with it or not. And if it's a male Black Panther named T'Challa that's hanging out with the Avengers during Secret Wars and whatnot, I'm good. That's probably enough for me. I want the Black Panther and T'Challa to be represented in this big celebration of Marvel. I mean, especially for Secret Wars. I feel like you really need that. So, yeah, that's kind of the updates. That's kind of how I'm feeling. I don't know, man. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay, I'm just trying to tell you what's probably going on, okay? So that's the report, how it could happen, my thoughts on it. You guys let me know. What do you think about this shit? Are you super mad? Are you chilling? Let me know in the comment section below, or right now in the live stream or whatever. Let me know.